Hey, welcome to Questions Just Asked. As you can see on the preview, the other broadcast on Wednesday mornings. It's the Sun City Bible Study. Right now, we're studying, doing character studies of the heroes of the Bible. Now, we'll be taking the summer off in late May, and then we'll come back in September, and we'll be looking at Romans for quite a long time. And then there's a third broadcast. It's called Chaplain's Moment, Doctor's Visit, and that's where it's a devotional. It starts on Mondays. It sits out there for the week to help you start the week off right. And why do we call it doctor's visit? Because Jesus says he's come to those who are sick. And boy, I can be sick at times. I need him. Now, I just want to stop for a minute right now. I'm gonna ask Courtney not to edit video. Courtney and her husband Fred will be moving to Alabama in the next couple of days. It saddens me that they're not going to be nearby and right around the corner. But I want to tell you what kind of servants they are. They're the kind of servants that will need to help me with the broadcast, even though they're going to be in Alabama. They're going to continue to record this. They're going to continue to get it out for me. These are the kind of servants they are. Oh, that we all would be as faithful as Fred and Courtney. They're not looking at ways to get out of things. They're looking at how they can stay engaged. And I really appreciate them so much. They make me look good, sound good. Well, you can only make this look good so much. But I just want to stop for a minute and thank them, Fred and Courtney Guthrie. I wish them well as they go into this next venture in their life. I'm so glad that we got to be called friends. So with that being said, let's move on to the next question. Thank you, Courtney. Next question is, why would a merciful God allow Job's family and fortune to be taken away? And why would God ask Abraham to kill his son? Well, let's just start with Job. We often think blessing in the terms of human or earthly substance. Wrong thinking. The blessing is not that Job had all these things. It was that he remained faithful without these things. What a test. Yes, suffering provides the great training grounds for it has been said. Suffering provides the training ground for the soul. The blessing isn't that he lost his blessing. The blessing is that he remained faithful. Even to a wife who said, curse God, die. Now, listen, I believe his wife, she was suffering too. She lost her children. She lost her security. She lost her man who's now groveling in despair. She lost her sense of safety. And so she goes, hey, would you just curse God and get it over with? She had a very human approach to things. And I also want to know who was tending to her heart. Job had 3 friends tending to his, even though they didn't do a very good job. Who was tending to her heart? Who was saying, hey, Mrs. Job. Mrs. Job. We don't know her name. How can we help you get through this? The blessing is that God showed up in the middle of his suffering and answered his call. So let's just be thankful for one thing. It was Job and not you or me. I'm sure I could have withstood Job's onslaught. I guess I could with Jesus. I guess I could by the Holy Spirit. I guess I could, but boy, I wouldn't want to. So the second thing is, why would Abraham be required to sacrifice Isaac? Kill him. The question here is, it's not that Abraham was supposed to sacrifice Isaac. The question is, will God provide? That's the big question. It's not, hey, go kill your son. It's right. In Hebrews, we read that Abraham believed so much that even if he did sacrifice Isaac, God would raise him from the dead. God would provide. Now, also, it often gets missed. So God provides a ram in the thicket, and he ends up sacrificing the ram. Abraham stopped there, says he stops, and he names that place where they did the sacrifice. Do you know what he named it? Jehovah Jireh. You know what that stands for? God will provide. See, the question in this story isn't, will Abraham kill his son? The question is, will God provide? See, it's not about Abraham that. It's really about God. See, often we read the Bible where we're the main characters. No, the main is God. Let's go back to the question last week. does God justify violence in the Bible? Well, we're looking at it as if God is the perpetrator of all violence, and he's not. Man is. See, we're looking to blame God for our sin and our consequences of our sin. And same thing here. It's not that Job lost his things, that was lost his blessing, is that he was blessed because he held to God. It's not that Abraham needed to sacrifice his son, it's that God provided. And that's all what we forget. It's vision. God, God, God. So if we get that straight, it'll change our view of these things. I also believe these questions are being asked, these last two questions. We're going to switch these questions next week. Is the idea that Christians shouldn't suffer, believers shouldn't suffer, and that's so wrong. If Christ suffered, why wouldn't Christians suffer? In fact, Paul said that he wants to know the power of the Holy Spirit, the one that raised Jesus from the dead, and he wants to suffer along with him because he understood that this is a battle against the earthly forces. And the earthly forces say you should be calm and comfortable when Jesus says, Jesus is an upside down kingdom. He says, no, in order to find your life, you have to be willing to lose it. That's the way it is. You know, I just talked about Fred and Courtney moving. They didn't want to move. They just had to move. And yet that's part of life. Part of life is disappointment. Part of life is discouragement. Part of life is the blessing, what we perceive to be the earthly blessings taken away. But that doesn't mean, as Courtney and Fred are going to do, continue to serve God in the midst of it. So I hope I answered these questions well for you. I hope you got it. It depends upon your view. Is your view focused on man, or is it focused on what God's going to do through Jesus Christ? So I hope I answered this question for you. Next week, a different question. I'm going to change it up again. Why is the Gospel of John so different from the other three, Matthew, Mark, Luke? So why is the Gospel of John so different from the other three? That's Matthew, Mark, and Luke. All right, we'll look at that next week. See you later. Have a great week.